Well, hello and welcome to Understand Men Now. I'm Jonathan Asley of jonathanashley.com, and I'm so excited to be doing this short video for you today. Our topic, how to make him think about you. And wait, what was it again? How to make him think about you and want you like crazy. Really quickly, if you're new to my YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if any time during this video this content resonates with you, please hit that like button so it gets seen in the YouTube algorithms. And lastly, this is your explicit language warning. I do occasionally use expletives to enhance a sentence. And if that is not your cup of tea, I highly recommend logging off now. All right, let's jump in the topic about how to get a guy to think about you and feel crazy about you. All right, first off, if you're a regular on my channel, you know I talk about how most men are good people. They're just bad daters. I'm gonna repeat that. Most men are good people. They're just bad daters. And oftentimes when we get to midlife, most men are rather confused. I'm going to repeat that. Most men are rather confused because they want companionship, they want connection, they want sex, just like a woman wants companionship, connection, and sex. The challenge, though, at midlife is that most people don't know what it takes to really make a relationship work when you have stuff in your life. Let me repeat that. When you have stuff in your life, you have maybe an ex-spouse, you have a contentious job, you have children, you have, we call this baggage, which I'm not a big fan of, but we have luggage in our lives. And a lot of times, most humans don't know how to put those pieces together. They don't know how to put those pieces together, men in particular. In addition, most men at midlife really don't understand the mechanics to a healthy, happy relationship. Repeat that. Most men and women actually don't know the mechanics to a healthy, happy relationship. And I think of the mechanics like a puzzle. Here's a puzzle, a 500-piece puzzle. But if you don't know how to put a puzzle together, it makes it very difficult to actually form a bond with another human being. This is one of the reasons why, if you follow my work, I'm all about intentionality, being intentional in the process, the dating process, recognizing that the dating process is a vetting process to decide if you want to be in relationship with someone. And a relationship is a vetting process to decide if you eventually want to be in partnership with someone. At least that's the world according to Jonathan. Not everyone has to subscribe to that. If you're happy with a friends with benefits relationship, if you're happy with casual dating, if you're happy with a casual relationship, if you're happy not being in anything serious, that's not what I'm leaning into. I'm leaning into building a deeper relationship with another human being. And so when I say that most men are clueless, it's not because they're bad people. It's not because, you know, they're intentionally deceiving someone else most of the time. Let me repeat that. And let me add to this. Most men really don't even understand their own feelings when it comes to a healthy, happy relationship. And women as well. I can say that everything I say about men goes equally for women as well. So how do we shift this narrative? How do we shift this narrative? And then I'll lean into this conversation that I started today. It starts by being aware. It starts by being aware. This is one of the reasons why, if you follow my work, I continually talk about this book called 8 Dates by Dr. John and Julie Gottman. 8 Dates by Dr. John and Julie Gottman. By the way, if you're watching the replay, there's a link in the description below to Jonathan Recommends Books. Why is this so imperative? Why is this so important? Because it teaches you the mechanics to a healthy, happy relationship. So you kind of understand how a relationship works. It's like understanding how a puzzle works. Now, a puzzle is, here, I'm going to go back to my puzzle here for a second. A puzzle is for children, right? Okay, but I want you to actually think of a more complicated puzzle, like a blueprint to a building, a blueprint to a building. If you don't know how to create a blueprint, if you don't know how to read a blueprint, then it's going to be very difficult. Now, you might be thinking, Jonathan, you know, relationships are just supposed to be easy. If two people love each other, everything will magically work out. Wait, if two people love each other, magic fairy dust will make everything work out? What rock do you live in if that's what you believe? And I'm not suggesting that any of you believe that, but the way many of you operate in the dating realm, you believe chemistry equals relationship success. Let me repeat that. Chemistry equals relationship success. And that's the furthest thing from the truth, because we have seen, and by the way, especially in the first first 3 dates, we're mostly driven by lust. We're not even driven by chemistry. We're driven by a biological need, or at least for us men anyway, to want to have sex with you. So this whole narrative that men love the chase and they're going to chase you and they're hunters. Well, what do we hunt? What are we hunting? Are we hunting, I want to be in a relationship. I want to be in a relationship. Is that what we're hunting? I don't know any man that's cognitively goes, I'm hunting a relationship. Now, we might be on the hunt for sex and we might chase sex. And there is this notion that men find love through sex. Let me repeat that. There's this notion that men find love through sex. And I say it's a notion because I'm not so certain that's exactly how we actually bond with another human being. And I am going to share with you in just a minute how we do truly bond with another human being. So this requires you as well as him to be intentional. Now, going back to this book, 8 Dates, can I share with you something? I am getting email after email after email from so many of you who are actually purchasing 2 copies of these books. And in the very early stages of dating, as you're getting to know someone, you're introducing the book to them and you're doing the work that's in the book. I love hearing this from women. I'm hearing it over and over again. I feel like I'm starting a movement. Can we start a movement now to actually date with some intentionality instead of this whole, just have a good time. It's all about having a good time. Just sit back in your feminine energy, ladies, and you could just lean back and have a good time because the guy is going to do all the work because he's chivalrous and he's going to claim you. I mean, that's such a crock of shit. I'm sorry. What? I mean, who's living in this fantasy world? And I say this because the reality is most humans at midlife are incredibly confused. They're uncertain. They have a lot of frustration and chaos going on in their life. So this whole notion that men are just going to naturally, okay, look at, we will chase sex and it will look like we're chasing a fully committed relationship. In fact, some men even use the words, I'm looking for a relationship. But just because, what does a relationship mean? What does that mean to someone? Does it mean you're vetting to decide if you want to be in partnership, or is it just someone you want to spend time with? Ladies, if you're going to allow the penis into the vagina, I highly recommend you becoming more intentional. And it's going to scare away a lot of the wrong guys. Wait a minute, Jonathan. If I'm intentional, it's going to scare away the wrong guys? Yes! It's going to scare away the wrong guys. And then what's left is the right guys. So this is my invitation for you today. So how do you make them want you like crazy and think about you all the time? Well, let me share that with you. First, it requires you choosing the right guy. So let me tell you how to choose the right guy. Here's just a couple notes I have for you. First off, choose a man whose life is not in chaos right now. A man whose life is not in chaos right now. And what that means is, does he have a contentious job? Does he have issues at work? Is he starting a brand new company and he's overwhelmed? Has he just lost his job? You know, look at his professional life and ask yourself, does he seem like he's solid in his professional life, or does it seem like it's in chaos? Let me add to that. Is he going through a divorce? Is he in the middle of a divorce? Does he have a contentious ex-spouse? Does he have an ex-spouse that's weighing on him heavily? That makes it very difficult for a man to really step into relationship if the ground underneath him is rather weak. And by the way, if you're dealing with a contentious ex or a contentious divorce, the ground underneath a guy is incredibly weak. Okay? Now, what other things that could be happening? He could have issues with children. He could have, he might sadly have an autistic child. He might have someone like myself who lost a child. Those of you know I lost my 19-year-old son, Connor. And during that period of time, I was going through absolute hell and chaos in my life. It would make it very difficult for me to lean into relationship, maybe from a place of wanting to be loved and supported by another, but I couldn't give anything to a relationship. So if a man has chaos in his life, I highly recommend avoiding that kind of man. Number 2, you want to perform an emotional aptitude test. You want to perform an emotional aptitude test. Now, this is something I teach in my private coaching. So for those of you who are interested in learning how to perform an emotional aptitude test, check out the link to a free discovery call to see if working with a coach is right for you. An emotional aptitude test is basically testing for his emotional maturity. The sad reality is most human beings, men and women alike, are actually very weak in emotional maturity, almost lack no emotional maturity. And this is not men, this is women equally. Ladies, I know you all you point your fingers at the guys, but I'm going to tell you there's always 3 fingers pointing back at you. Women are as equally as emotionally immature as men. Just because women might express their emotions more often doesn't mean that they're skilled at emotional maturity. So you're going to want to do an emotional aptitude test, okay? Number 3, you want to determine if the two of you share the same values. Let me repeat that. You're going to want to determine if you share the same values. If healthy lifestyle is important for you, as an example, then would you really want to date someone who's a chain smoker that eats processed foods 24/7 and hasn't even had a salad in their life? Probably not. Okay, that's just one example of a value. There's so many different values. I believe there's something like 421 values. In fact, Google lists of values and determine which values are most critical for yourself. Which values are most critical for yourself? And be thinking about that when you're interviewing a man. Oh, wait a minute, Jonathan, interviewing a man? Yes. It's an interview process. Dating is an interview process. I know everybody tells you the opposite. In fact, the book, The Rules, will tell you never interview a guy. This book is a crock of shit. It's a manipulative game-playing way to temporarily hook someone, but it has no value from long-term perspective. And so I'm here to say that the dating process is an absolute interview process. You want to interrogate the motherfucker. Please forgive my languaging. I told you explicit language warning, but you want to interrogate him. You literally want to be the detective. You want to have the beams of light on and determine his true intentions. In fact, I know it's hard for you to do that. Listen, I'm your big brother. I wish I was there for you before the first date. The guy comes to the door. I'm standing there as your big brother. I've got the shotgun. I'm like this and I'm going, what's your intentions? Well, ladies, I can't be there for you. You have to do this for yourself. So again, an emotional aptitude test along with determining shared values. And number 4 is, do your lifestyles, are they compatible with one another? I am blown away by how many women are in relationship with men. I've talked to women they tell me they've been in a 1-year relationship. I go, how often do you two get together? Oh, we haven't met yet. We live thousands of miles apart. That's not a relationship. That's just a pen pal, okay? Ultimately, ladies, and by the way, proximity creates continuity. Let me repeat that. Proximity creates continuity. Continuity means continuation, building the roots to trust. Let me repeat that. Building the roots to trust. The closer 2 people live together, the easier it is to build trust. And the further 2 people live apart, the harder it is to build trust. And I don't mean trusting that they're going to be faithful to you. I'm talking about emotional trust that comes through familiarity, emotional trust. The more time 2 people spend together, the more roots they develop to trust. And if your lifestyles are incompatible, he works nights, you work evenings, you're raising 4 kids, he's an empty nester and he wants to travel the world. A lot of times, people whose lifestyles are not compatible is the number 1 reason why relationships don't work out. And then lastly, chemistry. Yeah, we need that chemistry. In fact, it's kind of the easiest thing to recognize because it's either there on the first, second, or third date or it's not, okay? So these are basically the pillars to a relationship. So how do you get a guy to think about you nonstop and feel crazy for you? Well, it requires doing this one fundamental thing in the dating process. This one fundamental thing in the dating process, and that is to build an awesome friendship with one another, to build an awesome friendship with one another. It is through friendship that we think about our partner. It's like, God, they're the first person I want to call when there's something exciting happening in my life. They're the first person I call when I'm feeling blue. I sadly see so many women in relationships that are practically not even friends with the guy. So you might ask, how do you develop friendship? Well, let me tell you something. It requires doing social activities, hobbies, and mutual interest. Let me repeat that. Social activities, hobbies, and mutual interests. It is doing shit together. That's how you become friends. It's going hiking, going traveling, going to the movies together, and then talking about the movie afterwards and really dissecting it and being able to share your opinions with one another. And lastly, ladies, it requires you to lead by example. And let me explain what I mean by that. Most of you want men to open up emotionally to you. Most men don't know how to do that. And the best way to get a man to open up is to begin to express your feelings to him, not your feelings about him, your feelings about things in your life, and start communicating with feeling words. Let me tell you something. I know the narrative that John Gray talks about, do thinking words because men are logical and women are emotional. If you want to get him out of his head and into his heart, you're going to have to start communicating from a feeling perspective, and not how you feel about him, but how you feel about things in your life, how you feel about things in his life. Begin expressing yourself from I statements. I feel this way about something, and start expressing your opinions. It is through our opinions that we actually begin to bond with one another, not answering flat out questions. Like I said, when I was talking about interrogation, you want to get some of the critical things out of the way, but ultimately you want to lean into, how does this person think about things in life, about current affairs, about, like current affairs, what's happening in the news, politics, all these different things. That's how we eventually bond with someone. It is through our opinions that we actually determine if we're really right for one another. And it's good to have solid debate with one another too, because through the debate, we can actually find some common ground and grow closer and closer and closer together. Is this sinking in? Is it resonating? It is through an awesome friendship. And I'm going to tell you something. I think of my best relationships that I've had prior to my divorce and since my divorce. And the few that were really good were the ones that we developed a friendship. And most of the other ones were casual and mediocre. And they were casual and mediocre because I was going through chaos in my life, or maybe they were going through chaos in their life, or they weren't emotionally mature, or I weren't emotionally mature. But ultimately, the ones that I treasure the most, we had a really great friendship together. And that's my invitation for you going forward. Remember, how do you build friendship? It is through social activities, hobbies, mutual interests, doing shit together. All right. Well, that wraps up the content portion of this video. We're going to move into the Q&A. But before we move into the Q&A, I got to do this again. Give me 1 second break. I don't know what the heck is happening, but my feet keep getting cold. Is that something that happens as you age? I've got socks on, but my feet were cold. So now I just wanted to put on my slippers like I did last time. All right, it's time for Q&A right now. If you have a question, there's a couple options. If you're on the live chat right now, you can purchase a super sticker or a super chat and post your question inside that. All the funds that from the super sticker and super chats during the live stream go to a fund, goes to a fund that I'm creating for a foundation I'm starting on behalf of my son Connor, who passed away. And this foundation is to create a scholarship fund for those who are seeking personal development work. That's number one. Or you can post the word question and then write the question thereafter. We're going to do Q&A for hopefully the next 45 minutes or so. So let's jump in. I'm scrolling. All right. So I want to say hi to Allison, Bridge, Hazel, person of interest, Leaf. Let's see. Dutch woman, much Dutch. All right, I see a question. There we go. Weejen writes, question, Why some people want another to 100% trust them after two people only dated for 3 months. I was taking my time giving some reasonable trust to him, but he demanded me to trust him fully quickly. Okay. Well, first off, anyone that demands something from you already has a controlling behavior. So right off the bat, when I hear someone demand trust, that's rather turn off. Now, I would certainly say if someone requested that you trust them, in other words, I believe trust. See, a lot of people think trust is earned. I actually start from the premise is I consider that a given. I trust people, and then I look for untrustworthy acts. Let me repeat that. I trust people, not blind trust, not blind faith, but I actually believe most human beings are good, honest people. So I start from a premise of trust, and then I look, and then I start to see, well, if I notice behavior that seems untrustworthy, that's the red flag to me. So for example, they're consistently late when they say they're going to be on time. That to me makes me not trust them or respect them, quite frankly, because I'm very punctual. That's one of my values. Their actions don't match their words consistently. That would cause me to lose trust. Ultimately, if someone says they're somewhere, and then you see on social media that there's someone else somewhere else, well, then I would think that they lied to me and I would lose trust. But I'm not a big proponent of demanding trust. I start from a premise of trust, and then I basically look for things that I don't even look for things. Let me reframe that. If things come up that cause me to lose trust, that's when things start to change. And that's when you have a conversation with another human being. Listen, I've noticed that your behavior has been this when you've said this. Who am I dating here? Am I dating this person or am I dating this person? Now, most people who are secretive, most people who lie, most people are sociopathic, they're going to turn it around and make it about you. But the thing is, when it comes to trust, if you have inherent trust issues, because that happens too. Some people have inherent trust issues. It doesn't matter what the other person does. You're going to be untrusting of them. So if you know you have trust issues, that's going to be something you have to work on your time. Okay. If someone makes a faux pas here or there, look at, there's always going to be something, that might create a circumstance that might make you doubt another human being. But you have to look at the totality of a person. It's not an isolated situation. Again, if there's repetitiveness of behavior that's either bad or out of integrity, that's the time I would really examine whether or not this is the relationship I want to be in or not. Does that help, Weijin? I hope it does. Thank you so much. Great question. Leaf, shirt change. Yeah, I know. Okay. All right. Do we have a question? Weijin says, I understand better now. Thank you. You're very welcome. If you have a question, oh, here we go. Erica writes. Okay, question. A guy I was dating finally admitted that he has an alcoholic addiction. Can I still be friends with him? Were you friends with any women when you were going through your chaos? So here's my feeling on this. Can you be friends with them? Certainly you can be friends with anybody. My question is, are you being friends because you're hoping something changes in life and then you eventually want that friendship to go back to some romantic level? Be careful of, here's the thing about friends. Let me ask you all something. And by the way, I have many friends from women who I've dated in my past. We are no longer in romantic relationship. My Moscow Mule, by the way. My thing is, what's the purpose of the friendship? Is it just to stay connected with one another? Is it a social friendship? Is it an active friendship? Do you go out, hang out every weekend? What is the friendship that you desire? Because ultimately, ask yourself, if you meet your soulmate, are you really going to be friends with this person? Or is it just going to be somebody you used to know? Really ask yourself, are you going to be friends with this person? Or is this somebody you used to know? And ultimately, by the way, of the women, I have a few female friends where I said few that were friends, but most of them now are just simply social friends. We're on each other's social media. We say hi when it's a birthday. We say hi when their children do something, but that's the extent of the friendship. We're not actively in each other's lives on a regular basis. So ask yourself, what type of friendship are you looking to have with this person? And will that fit into your long-term plans of seeking your partner? Would you still be friends with this person? And how will that friendship look like? At least that's the invitation I have for you to explore it from that perspective. Okay, I hope that helps. Thank you so much. Great question. All right. Jenny says, I trust to unless the behavior shows me otherwise. Lateness is my pet peeve too. Yes, it's one of my biggest pet peeve. And sadly, I've yet to meet the woman who's actually been on time for a date. But I'm just being silly. All right. If you have a question, write the word question and post the question. Otherwise, we're going to be wrapping up rather early today. So let's get some questions going in the chat box. Oh, Denise writes, question, why some people are not emotionally capable of being in a casual relationship? I'm not capable of it, and I don't understand how some people are. Let me read this one more time. Why some people are not emotionally capable of being in a casual relationship. I'm not capable of it, and I don't understand how some people are. Well, isn't the definition of a casual relationship is people who are incapable of the emotional aspects of a relationship? The reason why it's casual is you want companionship, connection, and sex, but that's it. That's what casual means. It basically means we're not going to go down the emotional path. So if you're not available for the emotional path and he's not available for the emotional path, casual relationship is a great relationship to be in. I really look at them as being friends with benefits, really, just a slightly different version of friends with benefits. So if you're not capable of anything deeper and he's not capable of anything deeper, then the best relationship is to be casual. The deeper relationships require partnership skills. The deeper relationships, the more serious relationships require partnership skills. How are we going to be there for each other in our lives? That is the true serious relationship. How can we be partners with one another? How can we be teammates with one another in the dynamic of this relationship? Can we co-create a relationship together? This is one of the reasons why I highly recommend reading the book, Gary Zukav's book, Spiritual Partnerships, so you can learn about how to co-create a relationship together. Co-create a relationship together, because that's the relationship that has a greater chance for success. It's one of the reasons why I recommend all of these books. If you're not capable of partners or going deeper, I highly then recommend reading my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? Look, by Jonathan Aslay. There's a link below if you're watching the replay in the description of how to get a copy of my book. It's on Amazon, and now it's on Audibles as well. Highly recommend reading this book so you can get in touch with your emotional side. This is a book of a journey of personal development, self-help, and spiritual work. Let me lean into spiritual work for a second here. Everyone, when I talk about spirituality in the dating, mating, or relating realm, I'm talking about your connection to your divine self, the connection to your inner spirit, the connection to your intuition. And the more highly tuned your intuition, the greater chance you're going to have relationship success. This is one of the reasons why I highly, 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 highly recommend reading this book, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Every relationship has a spiritual component to it. The more we're tapped into our individual spiritual side with a partner who's tapped into their spiritual side, and I don't mean religious side, I mean their spiritual side, their inner guide, their inner being, their intuition, their connection to source energy, their connection to universal energy, their connection to God, however that resonates for you. Spirituality is an important facet of a relationship. In fact, it's missing in most relationships today. That's why when I created my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? It's a journey of personal development and spiritual work so you can be ready for a juicy, delicious, healthy relationship. Who wants to have a juicy, delicious, healthy relationship? Raise your hand. Oops, don't look at my armpit stains. Raise your hand. All right. Let's take some more questions here. Thank you so much for that question. I really appreciate it, Denise. All right. Let's see. Write the word question or purchase a super sticker or super chat. Oh, Leaf says, no, I thought you were changing your shirt and not getting slippers. My feet were cold. All right. Oh, here we go. Sal writes, question. I'm currently under the belief that a person will show even more of their colors and personality when they're under stress or conflict at the moment. I'd love to hear your opinion on this. Do people show their colors during stress? All right, I got a cute story to share this with you. I happen to be, I was social friends with a person who owned a big, gigantic movie studio here in Los Angeles. And I've hung out with him a number of times, and he's in his 70s, and he divorced and single and dating. And one of the things he shared with me that he does early in the dating process is and by the way, he's rich. I mean, $250 million richer, if not more. Probably $1 billion rich. I don't know. But he'd say he would take a woman on vacation within the first 30 days of dating. And the reason why he'd go on a trip or travel with them to see how they operated under pressure, because he said that that's what told him everything he needs to know about a person. Now, I'm not, to the extent that I understand I understand why he chooses to do that. And I can understand that pressure does reveal a person. I'm actually nervous about that because I have an issue when I'm under pressure. I tend to get defensive. I get anxious. I get righteous. My whole behavior when I'm under, now, when I mean pressure, when I don't feel safe, I was with my son, my oldest son, Colin, right there. We were in France. He was doing a semester abroad, and I went to France, and went to Paris and hooked up with him. And one of the nights we went out for a late night dinner, and then we took the metro somewhere, and wherever we landed, we got lost. Now, my son speaks fluent French. He can read it, write it. Really proud of him, by the way. And we got lost, and I started to freak out. I have a habit when I don't feel safe, I freak out. Just part of my personality. I'm working on it. Believe me, I'm doing my best. And my son tried to calm me down. Now, by the way, I'm very upfront with women I date. This is what happens to me. Maybe I'm not your full-blown provider protector. I'm physically big and whatnot, and I can protect you if some mugger is coming our way, or at least I'd like to think I could. But there are times when I get stressed out. It's natural for human beings to get stressed out when they don't feel safe. Okay, it's natural for human beings to get stressed out when they're not feel safe. And for me, it lasts about 1 minute to 2 minutes. It's not this long, drawn out thing. It's just initially when I'm not feeling safe. So I'm sharing my own experience for everyone, because maybe some of you can relate to this. Not everybody is good at pressure situations. Doesn't mean that they're incapable of being in a relationship. It doesn't make them bad human beings. It just happens to be some people have good qualities that they excel at, and some people have other qualities that they don't excel at. Sometimes when I don't feel safe, I turn into a fucking lunatic basket case for about 1 to 2 or 3 or 4 minutes. And then when my heart rate gets down, when I breathe, I come back to my center, I usually know how to handle things. So I'm just going to fix that picture frame. Anyway, I really appreciate this question. I hope I answered it for you. Great question, Sal. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Karen writes, I have anxiety and believe it can affect relationship. Cause the anxiety is a personal experience that others can't see. Now, anxiety within a relationship is a little bit different than when you don't feel safe out in your world. So that I was describing. People that have a natural anxiety within relationship, it's because actually my suspicion is they're not feeling a lack of love for themselves. So when you're in partnership with someone, and if anxiety is coming up, is because oftentimes there's a dependency that the other person fills the void on your behalf. This is one of the reasons why I highly recommend reading the book Codependent No More. Codependent No More. to understand what anxiety, I believe, comes from a level of codependency, usually requiring the other person to fill the void inside of us. And sadly, here in the United States, we are suckling on the nipple of, I need you to love me so I can feel good about myself. Let me repeat that. We are suckling on the nipple of, I need you to love me to feel good about myself. Otherwise, I'm in panic mode all the time, because if you're not constantly giving me love, I feel afraid. This is why, again, I highly recommend reading my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? So I understand anxiety. I've been there before. I recognize. Oh, by the way, you might also want to read the book Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller. Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller. This will help you understand love attachment style, because the anxious person, the anxiety-based person, is usually trying to fight for love, and they're with a partner who's avoidant. So let me repeat that. Love attachment style. There's 3 basic love attachment styles. There's anxious, avoidant, and secure. And secure only happens once you're in relationship with someone else. Most of the time, we have a default. I believe we have a default. We're either anxious or avoidant when we enter into relationship. And when we're in relationship with the right relationship, that's when we shift to secure. I don't believe people start off being secure in the dating process. They're going to be default, one or the other. So if you're aware that you have an anxious attachment style or anxiety-based way of dating, actually dating is a great way to practice healing from that. And it requires repetition and remembering, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. Everything is going to be okay. Everything is going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. Just put your hand over your heart and remember, I'm going to be okay. Everything is going to be okay. Because the reality is unless you have to call a doctor, an attorney, or a policeman, everything is on you. It's not the other person, it's on you. So just remember, you can soothe your soul, breathe into it, meditate on it, and just remember, everything is going to be okay. Great question. Thank you so much. Oh, we got lots of questions popping up now. All right. Angie writes, Anna G, question. Me and my boyfriend just recently broke things off. He still has things at my house that he won't come and get. Does that mean he plans to return to the relationship at his leisure? Interesting question. I can't speak for him because I don't know what he's going to do. If the relationship is over, I would suggest that he come pick it up. I would box everything. You could do one of 2 things. You could put it at the front door and say, hey, your shit's at the front door. Come pick it up when you wish. Or I'm going to mail it to you. By the way, most people end relationships and still want to be in relationship with someone. There's usually, the fact of the matter is, most of the time, it's rare that we end a relationship because we absolutely hate another person. There could be a variety of things going on in their life. It could be something within you. It could be some things within them. The reality is that we still, most of the time, whenever we end a relationship, and I know for myself, there's still care. We still care about the other person. We may still even want them on some level, from a level of connectivity or sex or companionship. But it means that they can't go into deeper relationship. If you've ended a relationship and you've done it with consciousness behind it, if you've ended the relationship with a fair amount of consciousness and you both know that this relationship doesn't work for you, then I would move on. Go find your partner that's right for you. But the reality is one person usually doesn't want the relationship end, and they're always pining for the other person to come back. But how successful does that really work? Ladies, this whole thing that the guy is going to somehow heal magically while he's taking space, you just need to lean back in your feminine energy and allow him to take space, and he's magically going to shift. Really? How many people magically shift when they take space? Do they do the inner work? Do they go to a therapist? Do they do somatic therapy? Do they do inner work like I recommend? Do they do the Hoffman process to heal childhood wounds and traumas? Check out this book, The Hoffman Process, to heal childhood wounds and traumas that cause people to be afraid to be in relationship. These are the kind of things I would be looking for when someone has taken space. And they won't get back in. I wouldn't let someone into my pants unless I've done their my emotional aptitude test. Remember I talked about my emotional aptitude test? Check out the link to a free discovery call with me. If you're ready to learn how to vet for emotional maturity, schedule a call to see if working with a coach is right for you. All right, great question. Thank you so much, Anna G. Okay. Weejin writes, question, is it most likely a relationship won't work out if one cares very much about personal development by reading your book, taking love workshops, seed therapy, believes I need to lean back? Well, I find it's funny. I'm in a group with Joe Dispenza. It's called the Joe Dispenza Daters Dating Group. Joe Dispenza wrote a book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I love, 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 love this book. Okay. Now, this is people that are in the personal development realm. And recently I asked a question of the group, would you date someone who doesn't do personal development work? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, thousands of people responded, no, 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 no. Now, and by the way, this is a group of men and women alike. There is just as many men in this group as there are women. Believe it or not, men do a lot of personal development work. They just don't do a lot of work in the area of relationships. That's the only difference, is most men do a ton. Lots of men like myself do work in relationship or do work on personal development. It's just very few do the work in relationship. That's why when you introduce a book like this, 8 Dates, to a guy who's done personal development, he is going to shit his pants, go, oh my God, this is fucking fantastic. Or if you get the book by Barbara DeAngelis, well, how about this book by Barbara DeAngelis, How to Make Love All the Time? Great book to help build your relationship together. Ladies, you literally only have to do is introduce these books. The wrong guy is going to run away. He's going to run away, the wrong guy. And the right guy is going to go, fuck, this is cool. I'm learning something new. Ladies, I highly recommend, if you're reading the books I'm recommending to you, then introduce it to the guy. And remember, before the penis goes inside the vagina, vet for emotional maturity. Do that emotional aptitude test to see what kind of, and by the way, one of the things, okay, ladies, I want to show you something from my online dating profile. Okay, I'm just going to show you something from my online dating profile. We're going to open up Bumble, and we're going to go to my profile. And this is one of the pictures in my profile. Okay, I wonder if you can see that. That's a stack of books. You can see on top Barbara DeAngelis. You can see Loving What Is. You can see Mark Manson, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, Nonviolent Communication, The Hoffman Process. I post this on my profile, both in my Match profile and my Bumble profile, just to see how some women react. They go, wow, those are cool books. And it shocks me how many women have never read any of the books I've listed, which includes books like Calling in the One, to name a few. The Queen's Code by Alison Armstrong. Nonviolent Communication, I just shared that when I mentioned it. So here's the thing, folks. I want to see what kind of books a person reads. Now, my best friend, he reads novels. He's more into stories, but he does occasionally do a personal development book here or there. But I highly recommend, one of the questions to ask someone early on in the dating is, tell me what you read or listen to. And I don't mean music listen to. I'm talking, you can do audio books as well as Kindle and real books. I say real, I mean physical books. So I would ask someone, what books do they read? That's a great way to get a sense of their emotional maturity. So Weejin, I hope that helped. Thank you so much. Okay, Ocean writes, question, does a great guy deserve a chance if his biggest flaw is being boring? You know, I'll be candid with you. I think I'm kind of boring. I'm very one-dimensional. I am addicted to personal development, and I'm kind of one-dimensional that way. I'm addicted to love and everything. I dated a woman who she had this she had a social calendar. I'll never forget. This was some years back. She had a social calendar. She would plan us to go hiking. She would plan us to go out. She made all the plans. She was the social calendar, and I just jumped in along and did the stuff with her. I wasn't a really good initiator of things. I'm a little bit better than I was before, but it was great because she was strong in that area and I was weak in that area. We kind of balanced each other out, but she appreciated my level of emotional maturity. She appreciated my communication skills. She appreciated that I could lean into vulnerability, authenticity, and transparency. So maybe I'm a little one-dimensional. She was more the activities coordinate, and I showed up with my strength in the relationship. So here's my thing. Maybe he's boring, but maybe he's a good follower like me. So all you have to do is plan the stuff, and he's most likely going to be ridiculously happy that you did it. Now, if someone is absolutely sits on a log and does nothing 24/7, that's boring to me. I wouldn't want to be with someone who sits on a log, but it doesn't mean that he has to be the initiator, because this whole paradigm, this whole stupid masculine and feminine and men, women have to be in their feminine energy. If the woman's in her masculine energy, it's going to upset the balance of polarity and his penis is going to shrink. This is such a stupid narrative, folks. I highly recommend reading the book If the Buddha Dated. This is a great book to understand relationships outside of the penis and vagina. It's about understanding human beings at a soul level, at a heart-centered level. When we throw out the stupid, ridiculous fucking narratives about masculine and feminine and just focus on a human being as a person, when we throw out the gender expectations, like in this book, this stupid manipulative book that has ruined so many women, and I'm getting emails after emails from women who say the book, The Rules, in the past has ruined their love life because it's short-term manipulation skills. Ladies, let's stop manipulating one another in the dating realm and let's start operating from a heart-centered place, both men and women alike. That's my invitation for the sexes. Can I please get an amen? Thank you. Great question, Osha. Thank you. All right. Question. If you have a question, post the word question. Oh, okay. So PSI writes, what if you're in a new long-distance relationship with a man that has just found out he has a medical issue? We plan to see each other soon, but should I reach out to show my concern in the meantime? Well, yeah, I would definitely, if this is, now, define relationship. This is where I'm so confused. Ladies, okay, so let's define relationship. First off, are you monogamous? Are you having sex together? That's one way to determine you're in a relationship. Number two, are you monogamous with one another? Number three, are you exclusive with one another? Are you spending regular time doing social activities, hobbies, mutual interests, spending time with family and friends? Are those the things you're doing? Because that's what a relationship really is about. So when there's distance, I don't know. Have you known him for 1 month? Have you known him for 10 years? How often do you see each other? But here's the thing. If someone you're in relationship was having a medical concern, I would want my partner to be involved in that. I remember I had to have an angiogram once, and the woman I was in relationship was there with me. By the way, our long distance was 30 miles. But she was there when I went to the doctor. She took me to the doctor. So yes, if you're in a relationship with someone, you should be there as a partner. The problem is you're in a long distance relationship. So are you building the roots to trust in this relationship? And let me tell you, ladies, men do not bond over the telephone. Men do not bond over telephone. We don't bond through text messaging. We don't bond through emails. We don't bond through FaceTime. We bond when we do stuff together. Remember I said in the beginning, how do you make him think about you like crazy all the time? It is through developing your strong friendship with one another. If the two of you really had a strong friendship, you wouldn't have been asking me that question. So the real question is, how strong is your friendship? Are you building the friendship together? Are you building the friendship together? That's more important. But yeah, I would reach out to him. Absolutely. Thank you for that, PSI. All right. Vig R1 says, question, dating a guy for a couple months and he only seems to open up emotionally and talk and bond after intimacy. He wants to commit but needs time. Can this grow into a healthy relationship? Okay. So if I'm understanding this question correctly, you are not in a committed relationship. Okay, you're in a relationship, you're having sex together, and it is very common for men to open up emotionally after sex. That's when we are actually probably the most connected to our heart after we've been intimate with another human being. In fact, many men have described the act of being intimate with a partner like feeling like they're home, like they're safe. And that's the time when they tend to open up. Okay. My thing is this. I wouldn't allow the penis in the vagina unless you have the agreement of monogamy and exclusivity and some direction on what are we doing here together? Are we working on building a relationship together? Or are we just having fun? Let's just have fun. Let's focus on having fun. Let's not think about the future. Let's just have fun. Folks, I'm here to say, if you don't read this book, 8 Dates, and understand the mechanics of the relationship, all the fun in the world isn't going to change, because here's the thing. Chemistry does not equal relationship success. Understanding the mechanics to a relationship has the greatest chance of achieving relationship success. And the sad part is today we have a lot of children, adult human beings who are actual emotional children dating. This is why I highly recommend reading the book, How to Be an Adult in a Relationship. How to be an adult. Adults know how to communicate with one another. And so if commitment is important to you, I would also ask him, what does commitment look like for you? And how will you know when you want to be in a committed relationship? Let me repeat that. What does commitment look like for you? And how will you know when you want to be in a committed relationship? These are some of the questions I would be asking someone. Again, part of the emotional aptitude test. This is something I work on in my private coaching practice. So again, check out the link below to schedule a discovery call with me, because that's my area of expertise, teaching you about compatibility, really understanding who's compatible with you, then learning how to ask the right questions to determine compatibility, and then lastly, vetting for emotional maturity. This is the most important piece of the dating process, because once you've chosen, like I started this recording out, when you've chosen a man who's not in chaos, who's emotionally mature, then you vet for values, compatible lifestyles, and chemistry. And then once you have that established, emotional maturity, shared values, compatible lifestyle, and chemistry, build the friendship together, because it is through the friendship that you're going to actually really bond with one another. Can I get an amen? If this resonates with you, please hit that like button right now. I'd be really grateful. All right, let's keep going here. Let's see. Robin says, that is how I would define a relationship, Jonathan. Thank you, Robin. I appreciate that. Andrea writes, question, partner son 5 years, lived abroad with mom. He's now taking him full time. We had a miscarriage February, so our lives are chaotic. I've autism, son, no drive, so once a week. What can I do to help us survive all these challenges? Andrea, first off, let me give you a big, gigantic Jonathan Bear hug. It sounds like there's a lot of stuff going on in your life. That's a very complicated question, and I'm not going to begin to answer that kind of question with limited information. I typically require a lot more information to give really solid advice based on what you're talking about. That sounds very complicated, and I highly recommend, if your relationship needs it, going to seek therapy together and seek outside counsel to help you, because this sounds like a very pressured situation. And this is, I'm going to be candid with you. I'm a dating and relationship coach, but you're talking about much deeper things that requires having serious conversations and serious intentionality. Now, when you said partner, I didn't know if you're married with him or not, but I highly recommend seeking additional help for the two of you to navigate this challenging aspect in your life. And my hope is that you go seek outside counsel, because I don't want to begin to give you advice on something like this. But thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. All right. Let's see. Robin just purchased a super sticker. Let me find that. Oh, here we go. All right. Robin says, in all seriousness, Jonathan, these live streams are very empowering and you give good advice. Oh, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And it looks like we're getting some amens to my previous amen. So thank you so much. All right, we've got time for one more question, maybe two. Sal says, hi, Cindy, Queen. I love your question. I want a big hickey on my cute ass. I would love to hear what Jonathan thinks on your question. Okay, so Cindy Queen, let's find this question. Oh, okay. So the question is, what do you think of hickeys? God, I'm trying to remember the last time I received a hickey. I mean, it's got to be like a gazillion years ago. And I'm trying to think of the last time I gave a hickey. I think the last time I gave a hickey, I caught so much shit. So what do I think of them? I think I'm smiling right now, so I must think they're kind of cute. You know, each person is unique. I mean, I'm not here to suggest what's a right or wrong here. If someone enjoys hickeys, go knock yourself out. And if you don't, then just be upfront with your partner. But thank you. I really do appreciate that question. To each his own on that one. Okay, Brenda says, I sure wish I'd found you before spending money on those short-term manipulative feminine energy gurus, period. It was pure trash. Listen, I understand the narrative of why feminine energy coaches exist, because one of the fundamentals they do teach is the understanding of healthy boundaries and self-empowerment. I'm going to repeat that, understanding healthy boundaries and self-empowerment. What I don't like about the narrative is many of you are set up for what's known as, you see, it's setting women up to lose their power in relationship. And I can tell you, I spoke to a woman not too long ago. A woman reached out to me for coaching. And she said she'd been following the feminine energy coaches. And her words, not mine, she says, this made me very susceptible to narcissistic behavior. I'm going to repeat this. This made me very susceptible to narcissistic behavior, because basically the notion of feminine energy is be funly, be fun, be flirty, be soft, and be submissive to the man. It basically is teaching submission to a man. And that is a recipe for disaster if you're dating a narcissist. That's going to set you up for all kinds of failure. This is why I'm a big proponent of two people being in a two-lane street in a relationship and actively being participants in the relationship, both initiating dates, paying for dates on a regular basis, be somewhat in a level of parity with one another. It doesn't have to be equal, and I don't mean splitting bills or whatnot, but what I'm saying is when a woman is an active participant in the getting to know you phase, not the, lean back and let men do all the work kind of thing, because that's what you're told is that's how men show masculinity. But what that does is set you up for men who are controlling, and worse, set you up for narcissistic behavior. And this is one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan for the feminine energy coaches, because it basically says, let the man lead and you follow. Well, guess what happens? You could be following the wrong man. This is why right from the very beginning, I'm a big believer that two people take turns in the getting to know you process, because that actually scares narcissists away. Narcissists want to be in constant control. When you make effort and that person can't receive, that narcissist will run away. So let me tell you something. By actively being involved in the process, you scare narcissists away, because they want to control. Okay, so the minute you make effort, and by the way, ladies, when you ask a guy out on a date and pay for a date, that's called generosity. That's called being an active participant. That's called being a partner in the process of getting to know another human being. It doesn't shrivel. And by the way, only men who are control freaks and narcissists get angry at you, or men who cannot receive love. By the way, one of the reasons why men get angry at women when they make effort is because they can't receive love. And if a man can't receive love, do you even want to be in a relationship with someone who can't receive love? I'm here to say no. By the way, this is part of that emotional aptitude test I was talking about before. If you don't know if he's capable of receiving love, you can invest a lot of time. And by the way, just remember, in the early stages, we men are driven by lust. So it's going to seem like we're coming on strong and we're into you. What really matters most is after sex, what happens. And the minute you start investing in the process, if he can't receive love, if he's a control freak or a narcissist, he's going to push back and run away from you. That's a good thing. You want to scare the wrong guys away to attract the right guys in your life. Does this make sense? If it does, please give me an amen. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. All right. Narcissus, either my way or the highway. Exactly. Says, oh my God, yes. Deanna, amen, Jonathan. Thank you so much. You're the best. Your advice is the best. Thank you. Now I'm getting all those amens. And even Sal says, I agree with you on that. So thank you so much. Okay. All right. This is going to be our last question. It's Friday night. It's cocktail time. I'm going out with my buddies. Here's our last question. Jonathan, what if a woman only likes straightforward, quick sex and a man likes more extreme stuff and long sex session? Can the relationship still work? You know, I'm not, by the way, I'm not an expert on sex. So let me just be clear about that. I am not an expert on sex. I like a combination of both. Okay. So I prefer people that have, I prefer women who like quickies. I prefer women who love a full day of love making. We make it the love day. We create a nest. We have the right music and the candles and everything. And it's an entire day of making love to each other, not intercourse for the entire day. So I'm a proponent of both. So my feeling is, you know what? Do a little bit of both and see what happens. That's my invitation for you. And I'm not a sex expert, so I'm not here to say, I'm just giving you my perspective on what I prefer in this particular case. It's not the world according to Jonathan, it's just my perspective on it. I would like a little bit of both. So maybe you can compromise and work on a little bit of both. I hope that helps. All right. All right, one last question by Weejan. John, okay, question. Does no contact really work for people to get back together? I heard many coaches advise this strategy, and I'm a bit skeptical, and it feels counterintuitive. Again, coming back to the book, the rules, manipulation. If you have to do something from a manipulation perspective, it's already going to fail. Now, this thing is, here's the thing, what happens. A man takes some distance, okay? And all of a sudden, you're here. You're both on the 50-yard line. All of a sudden, he goes over here. So you're told, you go over here. And somehow that space in between, he's going to be like Pac-Man and coming to get you. Well, that might be true temporarily. But until you address what caused someone to pull away, until that's addressed, I don't recommend playing the game. I actually recommend the opposite. I recommend you go straight forward and go, what the fuck is going on, dude? I thought we're in a relationship and now you're pulling away. Tell me what the fuck is going on. Now, I'm going to stop. I did that intentionally that way. You are not going to want to do it that way. You're going to simply go, hey, I noticed you pull away emotionally from our relationship, and I suspect something is coming up for you. And repeat that. I've noticed you pull away emotionally and something is coming up for you. And I just want you to know, I'm here whether you want to stay in this relationship or not, I'm someone you can talk to. Whether you want to stay in this relationship or not, I'm someone you can talk to. And it's okay if you're making a choice to move away from the relationship. Let me repeat that. It's okay if you're maybe having doubts or second thoughts about the relationship. I'm okay with that because I'm a sovereign woman. I'm in charge of my self-worth, my self-esteem, my self-confidence, my self-reliance. So I'm not going to play those stupid games like other women do. I'm going to simply ask and let you know that if you're pulling away, that's okay. I'm going to be okay. And I'm here if you want to talk. I'm here if you want to talk. I'm here if you want to talk. Is this sinking in? By the way, what do you think of this suggestion? I'd like to hear your thoughts on this as we wrap up this live stream. What are your thoughts on what I just suggested? Okay, Weejan just writes, thank you, Jonathan. I got a lot out of this video. I really appreciate it. I'm grateful for you in my life. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jonathan. Glad you're feeling better. Enjoy yourself this evening. Thank you. Bridge says, that's a sweet answer. Thank you. Melissa says, I'm starting your book tonight. Yay, my book. Where is it? What the heck is self-love anyway? There's the back cover. Sal says, love your suggestion on this. Jonathan, you are the best. Hugs and kisses. Have fun tonight. Julie says, perfect. All right, folks. Where's that perfect? All right, I think this would be a good place to wrap up for the evening. Just to repeat on how to make a man think about you and want you like crazy. Number one, first off, choose a man whose life is not in chaos. Number two, perform an emotional aptitude test to determine if he's emotionally mature. And if you need help with that, check out the link to a free discovery call. That's what I teach in my private coaching. Third, choose a man who shares your values. Fourth, choose a man whose lifestyle is compatible with yours. Fifth, choose a man with whom you have chemistry with. And lastly, build the friendship through social activities, hobbies, mutual interests, and expressing your feelings. Lead by example, because if you have an awesome friendship, he will think about you nonstop. All right, this is a great place to wrap up for today. I want to thank you all for joining me for the last hour or so. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. I'm going to wrap up this video as I always do. First off, give myself a big, gigantic Jonathan Bear hug of self-love. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love if that's okay. I'm going to ask you to turn to someone, a pet, a teddy bear, or pillow, and give it or them a hug of love, because hugs are a great source of love, and we could all use more love in our lives. Thanks a bunch. Bye-bye now. All right. Bye, everyone.